Hey there, I'm Terry with Tree Marie Soapworks, and today I'm going to share with you my experience with the Brush Embroidery Soap Challenge. This brush embroidery technique is adapted from a cake and cookie decorating technique. It involves piping a design on the cookie or cake and then delicately brushing it to create a soft embroidered effect. I drew inspiration from blooming.sugar.creation on Instagram. There's a particular post that I'm going to link in the description that was my inspiration for this soap. I would encourage you to check out her Instagram because it's amazing. You will be inspired. The soap challenge is hosted by Amy Warden, and every month there's a new challenge. If you really want to bolster your skills or up your game, this is an excellent place to do it. It kind of puts you on the fast track. Every month you have a chance to win prizes, and this month I want to give Brambleberry a shout out. They were the ones that made this challenge possible by sponsoring the soap making community. For more information about the soap challenge and blooming.sugar.creation, my inspiration, and our sponsor Brambleberry, check the description below. This is a completely new experience for me. I haven't piped soap before. I have used a squeeze bottle, but it's different. You have to learn the consistency of the batter. And so if anybody more experienced has any pointers for me, I would love to hear them. Piping techniques have me really intrigued, and I would love to hear more. This brush embroidery technique can be done on any pre-made bar of soap, but it really sticks better if it's done on more of a fresh bar of soap. I'm working on perfecting a formula, and this is the perfect opportunity for me to do a little more testing. So I'm going to vaguely tell you about this batch, and then we're going to get into the brush embroidery. Probably the most notable thing you can see about this batch is the color. I really love it, and it's natural. I used an ingredient called liquid chlorophyll, and I use it at a rate of 1 tablespoon per pound of oils. You can get liquid chlorophyll online or at a health food store. Keep in mind that after it's open, it needs to be refrigerated. Liquid chlorophyll usually gives soap kind of a blue-green color, but I added patchouli to this recipe, and that's a little bit of a yellow color. So the yellow and the blue kind of cancel each other out, and it just makes this soap kind of an earthy green color. As part of the fragrance, I also added lavender essential oil. I used more lavender than patchouli. I used it at a ratio of 3 parts lavender to 1 part patchouli, since patchouli is so strong. Some other fun ingredients that I added to this batch are silk and kaolin clay to help with the feel of the bar. Kaolin clay also is good for the lather, and some other ingredients that I use to boost the lather are aloe vera juice, sorbitol, and citric acid. 48 hours after I made this batch, I unmolded it, and I did get a little soda ash that formed on the surface of the top of the soap, and I used steam to get rid of that, and it did help, but there's still some there. It's just not as noticeable. Once all the moisture from the steam dried out, it was time to cut the bars. The next day I beveled the soaps. I did that before I put the design on top just because I didn't want to mark up the design, and that worked really well this time. In the impression mat challenge, it was very difficult to bevel the soap after you have such a delicate design on there. The beveling came out so clean and professional. If you're interested in the tool that I use, please check the description below. Now it's time to start that little tiny batch for the piping. I'm using the recipe that was shared in the soap challenge group, so I can't share that with you because that's for the paid members only. I can tell you, however, that this recipe seems like a fairly normal recipe. The only thing that was different about it is that it has 1% of beeswax as part of the oils. So you can take that into consideration when you're making your piping recipe. You could also search YouTube for those soap makers who use soap piping and see if they've shared any of their recipes. Also, many in the group for this soap challenge said that they just used their normal recipe. The first ingredient that I measured for this batch was the coconut oil, and then I melted it. Next, I added the shea butter, and I broke it up a little bit to make it easier to melt. Since this is a small recipe to begin with, and then some of those ingredients in the recipe are at such a small percentage, I got out my scale that measures to 1/100 of a gram for those small percentages, and in this case it's the cocoa butter and the wax. Here I'm adding the cocoa butter to the melted coconut oil and shea butter. Just a little note, if I were doing this again, I would melt the ingredients in a different order, and it's because of the high melting point of the beeswax. Here you can see that I melted the beeswax, and by the time that it's coming to the edge of the container, it's already solidifying, and the beeswax that does make it in the pitcher solidifies because the melting point of the ingredients that were already in the pitcher have a lower melting point than the beeswax, and therefore it's solidified. I used a heat gun to get the residual wax out of the container, and I also used the heat gun to melt the beeswax in the container of melted oils. In the future, I would only melt the coconut oil, and then I would use the heat gun method to melt the beeswax into the coconut oil. Once beeswax is melted and incorporated into another oil, it usually stays melted, so it's at that point that I would add the remaining ingredients. Here you can see that it's all incorporated and it looks like it's going to stay melted, but look at how high the temperature got. You have to be careful with that when you're dealing with recipes that have a high percentage of butters, because sometimes when your butters get too hot, your curing soap will develop fat bloom, which is not desirable. I don't expect it to happen in this case because of the wax, but it's something to watch out for and keep those temperatures relatively low when you're dealing with the butters. Now that the temperatures are between 85 and 95 degrees Fahrenheit or 29 to 35 degrees Celsius, it's time to add the lye to the oils. When dealing with such a small batch, it's really easy to introduce air bubbles to your mixture as you're blending it. So in order to help prevent that, I transferred my batch from the pitcher to the beaker because the beaker is a little skinnier, but it has more height to it, and therefore it's easier to get the stick blender, or in this case the frother, buried under the surface, and that way you're not pulling in extra air. In order to set yourself up for success, it's important to only blend here until you get to a light trace. The reason for that is stick blending causes acceleration. You want your batter to give you plenty of time to work, and the more agitation you do to your batter, the faster your batter will solidify. So once you get it to a light trace, just stir by hand after that point. This is a good time to separate your batch into how many colors you're using, and in this case I'm just using 2 colors. The first colorant for the white is titanium dioxide. I'm using that at a rate of 1 teaspoon per pound of oils. The second colorant I'm using is called Snake Island, and that's by Mad Micas. I'm using that at a rate of 2 teaspoons per pound of oils to get a nice dark color. Now it's just a waiting game until your batter gets to the proper consistency. This takes a long time. It could possibly take several hours. The reason why you want to wait that time and avoid stick blending is because once you stick blend it, you're possibly really limiting the time that you have to work, and you need a long time to put this design on your soap. It's best just to wait it out. At the point that the batter has thickened but it's still pourable, I go ahead and pour it into the piping bags. After filling the piping bags with batter, I secured the wide ends of the bags with clips. I recommend that you clear your schedule on the day you're doing your piping and allow an extreme amount of time, because you never know how long it's going to take, and if you do have to run any errands, it might be just the time that you need to start working. In this case, I put the batter in my piping bags and I went to run my first time sensitive errand, and then when I got back, I realized that the batter was ready to go, but I had another time sensitive errand that I had to run. By the time I got back, the batter was still at a good consistency for a long time, but it did take about a half an hour off of my work time. To describe this in royal icing terms, when they decorate cookies and they do the base layer, which is the layer that they flood the design, they call that flood consistency of the royal icing. And then when they pipe the design, they call it the stiff consistency of royal icing. So we are kind of looking for a stiff consistency, but it still has to be workable. It's best if you have a design in mind and that you scribe that onto your soap. I'm using a dry embossing stylus here. This tool works really well because it has a little ball on the end which glides really smoothly across your design, and it leaves a little indent, and it's just big enough to show you where you are and give you a little guide. Now that it's time to do the actual brush embroidery, what you're wanting to do is pipe either lines or dots, and then you use a small paintbrush and drag part of that line or dot. By only dragging part of the line or dot, you're creating dimension, and that's what makes this technique look so outstanding. In the beginning, my lines that I piped were a little too thin and I needed to add some, and I found that that worked better because you could pull the lines a little further that way. Since this is my first time trying this technique, there was a lot of trial and error involved. One thing I was trying to do is create more dimension by using the darker color to create depth. And I tried it here and I tried brushing it on really thin and pulling it upward back toward the white. That didn't work very well. I learned that it worked better if you pipe a thick line of white and a thin line of green and then you pull that. It works really well, but what I found I really liked is to do another layer on top of that in the same way, and then possibly another layer on top of that again in the same way. And that just creates so much dimension and depth and interest. I thought that looked really pretty, and that's what I would do next time. But that's really subjective. It depends on your own personal preferences. For my first try at this, I only had enough time to do 4.5 bars before my soap got too hard to work with. If you have experience with piping soap and you have any tips, I would love to hear them. Please drop them in the comments below, and I thank you in advance. Amy did a brush embroidery challenge back in 2019, and I sat out for that one because I didn't really want to bother with it. And in this one, I kind of drug my feet as far as getting started, and I waited pretty late to try it. But when I tried it, I really enjoyed it, and I can see myself doing another one. Something about it just made me happy. I think there are lots of possibilities with this technique, and I'm wondering if you would try it. I've realized it's really time consuming and kind of a novelty, but certain situations might warrant such a thing. Like, say that you have a soap that has a lot of blemishes on the surface and you want to cover those up. Well, you could do something like this and cover it up with some pretty flowers. Or another thing I was thinking of was it could accentuate things like for this beach challenge that's going on right now. You could use brush embroidery for the surf coming in and the foam on the waves, and there's just lots of possibilities. By participating in challenges like these that are completely out of your comfort zone and are challenges that you probably wouldn't do otherwise, it really has a way of putting some extra tools in your bag of tricks, so to speak, and you never know when you're going to pull them out and use them again. Thank you so much for hanging out with me here today and learning right along with me. And if you like videos like this, please hit the like button and subscribe. And I want to say a special thank you to those of you who have done those things, have liked and subscribed and commented, and also those of you who buy my soap recipes and buy my soap from my shop online. That's what keeps me going, and I do appreciate it. So thank you for that. I will see you back here next time. Have a wonderful day.